And so the project it's bounded by Washington on the west here, the Pend Oreille River to the north, and then all the way over to I-90. As a lot of you know, it's a patchwork quilt of ownership, including federal lands that were at one time probably private, and they ended up back in the hands of the federal government. And they've really been a challenge for that reason to manage. There's 30 individual parcels, some of them as small as 40 acres, and a lot of them just haven't seen a lot of management activity in the past 40 years or so. So what we did on this project, we agreed to partner with the Forest Service. There are a lot of other collaborators involved. It was really time to get in here, reset the clock. So that's what we did.
It had just been pre-commercially thinned, which basically reduces the stocking level. You can kind of see some of the fuels arrangement right behind us where it didn't burn. So you have that heavy stocking where the ladder fuels will bring a fire up into the crown, and with windy conditions, there's a couple of places where it actually did go crown fire, from a surface fire to a crown fire, and you get full mortality. But really, if you see out a little ways there, most of the trees are still green. I mean, the fire stayed on the ground as a surface fire. As they moved along the fire and it was moving this way, bring in the dozer, get in front of it, put the water on it, and had it out, kept it small. There's a great vista. That's one of the reasons we stopped here. If you look right into the rest of the section there, you get a great overview of kind of what it looks like after the harvest's been done, the stand has been established, stocking control is performed, and then you have maybe another 30-35 years to another harvest.
We just got done fully implementing what we call our 2019 Forest Asset Management Plan, or FAMP. You'll hear that acronym thrown around a lot. Part of the FAMP process is we reevaluate that every 5 years. Technology is huge in our inventory program. We utilize a very old system called Continuous Forest Inventory, which is permanent plots we've been keeping track of since the 50s. We went to stand-based inventory in the early 2000s and now rely heavily on LiDAR, FODAR, and revisiting flights on that. We're still probably not cutting what we're growing, and what we're trying to do is find that magic number. This LiDAR technology is amazing. All of us that were foresters, we like going out and cruising trees, but this thing, I mean, it's telling you an answer and it's giving you a census basically of your forest, not a sample. So it's super powerful. It gives foresters a better planning tool.
I'm Barry Dexter, and I work for Stimson Lumber Company, and this landscape behind me is known as the Clarkstone Meadows property. It's a forest legacy easement, conservation easement, that was put in place in 2016. This property was originally homesteaded in 1900 by a man by the name of Paul Clarkstone, and he started with 160 acres land grant, Homestead Act, and then he amassed another almost 10,000 acres from 1900 to 1907. He lost this land in about 1912. So from 1912 through probably the early 1950s, this land was split up and resold a number of times. And then in the 1950s, timber interests led by Larry Brown started putting property back together. And now this property is about 14,000 acres. So in 2010, Stimson looked at this property and said, there's probably more value here than just being timberland. And so we looked into a planned unit development and secured approval from Bonner County to do a development here, which included 2 golf courses, hundreds and hundreds of homes, some lakeshore condos out by the lake out there, Beaver Lake, and just a number of different developments. About the same time that we received approval on that development, we were approached by a land trust, and that land trust asked us if we would be interested in putting the property under a forest, a non-development forest legacy project. And so we thought this is more true to our core and our values as a timberland owning company. And so we looked into that and we made application. And then we found out in 2015 that The project ranked 5th nationally, and so we were on our way to a conservation easement. I think we all know that we can't develop every square inch of the earth, and special places like Clagstone Meadows are really important, and Forest Legacy makes that possible. And it is forever a working forest land because of Forest Legacy.
Did an assessment, and then the landowner hired him to do the mastication and thinning over here. So you can see the untreated private acreage where the fire originated. They did determine that the 2 outbuildings and I think a trailer that burned on this property right here were because of the lack of firescaping around those structures. We try to prevent the sparks from ever igniting. That's changing human behavior to try to stop it from ever starting. That's true prevention. This is fire risk mitigation. How can we, once the fire's going, how do we change the behavior to make it less destructive?
So we're here today at IFG's mill at Chilco. This mill produces between 270 and 300 million board feet a year, and we're here today on a kind of a forest products tour. We saw a couple timber sales this morning, and this is kind of the end of the supply chain here. This is where we turn raw material, logs, into lumber, and we're going to see how that works today in our mill here in North Idaho. We've got a mixture of both agency people, we've got some legislators, we've got some county commissioners, and a land board member. It's just key that they understand the manufacturing process and what it takes, and the importance of having raw material availability to the mills. Yeah, it's a team effort, and we realize that the agencies play a key part in our sourcing. The other industry partners that we have are important. And ultimately, it's key that the legislators understand what we're doing, and we just appreciate the interest and the participation today.